The cerebral cortex is the outer layer of the brain. It's cut into two hemispheres here, shown on both sides of the paper, and it's responsible for the most complex of the mental functions like thinking and planning. Next is the brainstem, which is the long green cord, and it's where the spinal cord swells as it enters the brain, and it's responsible for all of our automatic survival functions. Next is the medulla, shown in blue there. It lies where the spinal cord enters the skull, the brain, It lies where the spinal cord enters the brain, and it controls the heartbeat and breathing. Next is the reticular formation, and that's responsible for the sleep-wake cycle and our motivation and arousal. Next is pons, which regulates waking, dreaming, and relaxing, as well as respiration and breathing rate, which is what makes it different from the reticular formation. Next is the cerebellum, and that controls our coordination and voluntary movements, and it helps maintain our balance. And next is the thalamus, which receives all of our sensory info except smell, and it organizes it and relays it to the cerebral cortex.
Next is the basal ganglia. It's shown in yellow. It works with the cerebellum and cerebral cortex in controlling voluntary movements that involved executing a learned skill. Next is the hypothalamus in orange. It plays a vital role in controlling many motivated behaviors such as eating, drinking, and sexual activity, and controls automatic functions and emotions. The pituitary gland is off to the side in orange. It's controlled by the hypothalamus that controls growth and regulates other glands. It's known as the master gland, and it releases oxytocin, which promotes bonding. The hippocampus is in dark blue. It is involved in learning and the storage of long-term memories. The amygdala, it's this small red ball at the end of the hippocampus. It influences aggression and fear and also coordinates the fight or flight response. And lastly is the corpus callosum, and that's shown in red. It's the red arc up at the top of the brainstem. It's a large band of neural fibers that connects the left and right hemisphere of the brain and carries messages between the two.
Next are the lobes, and all the lobes are part of the cerebral cortex. The frontal lobe is involved with personality and intelligence. Damage to the frontal lobe can alter personality or remove personal inhibitions. The parietal lobe, it processes sensory information having to do with taste, temperature, and touch. Damage to this area can lead to loss of touch sensation. Motor cortex controls voluntary movement, controls body areas that require precise control, such as fingers and mouth. The somatosensory cortex detect and interpret information on touch, temperature, pain, and pressure, and allows us to perceive size, shape, and texture of an object via touch. Occipital lobe processes information about a visual stimuli such as color, shape, and motion. Stroke or lesions to this area can cause blindness or damage to this vision field. The temporal lobe controls hearing, language processing, and memory. People with temporal lobe damage can have problems filing experiences into long-term memory. The Broca's area is involved with speech production and is also part of the frontal lobe. Damage to this area may result in telegraphic speech with very simple grammatical structures. And Warnick's area is involved in understanding and is part of the temporal lobe. Damage to this area cannot comprehend words, but you can hear words and don't know what they mean.